last year off, but now let's see who gets to be like King Kong banging on his chest. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling vlogger who always tells it like it is. You know, I'm gonna say my predictions for Fastlane were perfect. Yeah, even WWE.com says Alexa Bliss beat Randy Orton, but technically, the match should have ended when The Fiend emerged from the ring. So, yeah, I'm claiming victory with my no contest pick. Anyway, COVID-19 hit the brakes on the 2020 WWE Hall of Fame inductions as everyone went into lockdown, including the WWE itself inside the Performance Center. Now with vaccinations happening all over the country and with any luck us reaching herd immunity levels by year's end, the WWE feels comfortable enough to hold the ceremony in an empty Thunderdome. Better than nothing. And those that waited can now be properly inducted along with a handful of others. And best of all, no celebrities inducted! Alright, let's analyze the lucky stiffs who will go in en masse this year. We start with last year's announced participants. The British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, was a great tag team co-champion with the Dynamite Kid, but was even better as an individual competitor. He won the Intercontinental title and quickly rose to a shot at the world title. He did seem to spend a fair amount of his singles career fighting other former tag champs like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and he couldn't stay away from tag teaming either. But he was a presence to behold in the ring, so yeah, get him in there. John Bradshaw Layfield was a former United States and World Champion and APA member until he decided to become the $1 Million Man of the 1990s. His battles with Eddie Guerrero were exceptional, though. Though there's a few points against him for helping John Cena come into prominence and leading Cena to create a spinner belt. Still, he parlayed that into a few years as a commentator and an online interviewer. And at least Ron Farouk Simmons can finally return the favor of JBL inducting him in, and get to say, "Damn! About time you made it!" Now, Jushin Thunder Liger is a bit of an oddity in this case, as, well, he only had a few matches in the WWE, the most recent being a few years ago. But he was an important part of the Japanese arm of WWE in their alliance with AJPW and NJPW. And there's no doubt that Liger was a big name in WCW while it was still kicking WWE's ass in the Monday Night Wars. So Liger is sort of a legacy induction, despite being in Ring of Honor for longer. But it's a little surprised that when you talk about Japanese legends in the ring, Thunder's name has to show up eventually, if not immediately. So, sure. Speaking of big names in WCW, we get to the New World Order. Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Shawn 1236 Pac Kid Waltman are all in. Again. Remember when Ric Flair was the only one with the rare 2 Hall of Fame rings on his fingers? Now everyone is getting a second ring. But, yeah, there's little doubt that NWO's bursting onto the scene in WCW is what truly turned the tide in the Monday Night Wars. And Hogan, Hall, and Nash being the ultimate heels in the Fed was very entertaining. Not quite so entertaining when they debuted on WWE after the Invasion angle 2001, but still. And Shawn, I guess he created enough of a stir when he joined NWO on his first night in WCW to warrant this second induction. Either that or the other two in the NWO at the time didn't care to be inducted, so they were stuck with him. When Nikki and Brie Bella came onto the scene, they started as eye candy like many divas before them. And when they did compete, they used their twin magic to sneakily win matches. Then one of them got implants and that pretty much ruined the mystique. But let's face it, they're not getting in based on their record in the ring. They are getting in because of their Total Diva spin-off, Total Bellas. Well, I mean, entertainment is what the E in WWE stands for, right? And damned if the daily lives of the Bellas, Daniel Bryan, and, for a brief time, John Cena wasn't entertaining. Oh, and they did win some female titles, so good for them, I guess. Now this year's lot, much like last year's list, no real headliners. I gotta admit, Molly Holly's induction was a little surprising. She came in as hardcore Bob Holly's cousin and morphed into the Hurricane's sidekick. And aside, 2 short women's title reigns and getting her head shaved clean in WrestleMania 20, not much else really, but hey, she helped Beth Phoenix get trainers, so, huzzah, I guess? Now, the pick of Eric Bischoff was, well, really a lot surprising. Don't get me wrong, his time as Grand Exalted Poobah of WCW and the NWO is more than sufficient for a legacy induction, but Bischoff and the WWE have had a rather slippery relationship recently. Yeah, he was the longest reigning general manager of Raw, but he had a tenure on TNA for a while as well as brief appearances on AEW. So that's rather suspect if you ask me, and the WWE only lets people with good relations with them into their hall. Guess I missed the hug and kiss fest. Well, it's good to see him there, kicking ass, taking names, screaming more than ever, "I'm so famous." The Great Khali, another surprise, though not as great as one as Bischoff's, just above Molly though. Khali, much like Giant Gonzalez and several other tall, lithe wrestlers before him, was a one-trick pony. He was tall and tough and relatively silent. Yes, he won a World Heavyweight Championship, but after he lost it, he was reimagined as the Punjabi Playboy. But most importantly, it was he that came up with the god-awful Punjabi prison match. So why him? Well, basically because he lasted longer than many other tall, silent wrestlers in the WWE. I mean, 8 years ain't nothing to sneeze at, you know. The only thing surprising about Kane making the scene is that he made it before The Undertaker, the man who put the Big Red Machine on the map in the first place. Now, yeah, Kane was also a one-trick pony, but man, if that trick didn't stretch out a long time. Multiple titles across multiple brands, and then to become a mayor and win the 24/7 title in his semi-retirement? For someone who's supposed to be Kane's little brother to make an over 2-decade career out of it is impressive. Most impressive. Now, as of recording this, one name has not been announced, but has been threatened to. That of Rob Van Dam. Now, I remember when Drew Carey was inducted and RVD sent out a message saying how embarrassing it must be to be in a Hall of Fame with Carey. That sounded to me like he had washed his hands of the WWE for good. Again, must have missed the orgy that put the WWE back in RVD's good graces, but he is worthy, no doubt. From before and after the invasion, he was a wrecking ball in the ring, and it was thanks to him that nobody in New York City rioted because he beat John Cena for the WWE title at the second ECW One Night Stand. So, if anyone is most deserving of the nod into the Hall, it is definitely RVD. Congrats to all the nominees. Hope they stay safe. And more importantly, hopefully none of them are ever competing in a ring ever again. I honestly think that if a Hall of Famer still competes, they should take them out of the Hall until they retire for good. I'm talking to you, Goldberg. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling blogger who always tells it like it is. Stay safe, and I'll see you.